In this video, I'm going to give you the 6 ways to get traffic to your website. And if you're a freelancer, this is especially important because if you don't have traffic coming to your website, that means no one is filling out your quote request form or your inquiry form, which means no one ends up becoming a client, which means you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And with a 6-figure creative, our goal is to help you monetize something you actually truly love doing, something you're passionate about. But monetizing your passions starts with getting traffic to your website. And in this video, I'm going to give you these 6 ways. These are, as far as I know, these are the only 6 ways to get traffic to your website. And if you don't know all 6 of these, then you're not making an informed decision on which one you're going to focus on in your business. So if you're still watching this, I'm going to assume that you're a freelancer, you're struggling to get traffic to your website, and you have no idea really what to do. If that's you, you're in the right place, and it's okay that you don't know this stuff yet. No one was born a marketer, no one was born with all this knowledge, and I've been talking about marketing on this YouTube channel a lot lately because so much of our community struggles with this. So let's dive into these 6 ways to get traffic to your website. This is relevant whether you're a freelancer, whether you're a Fortune 500 company, whether you're an e-commerce company. These are just the 6 fundamental ways to get website traffic. Method number 1 is paid media. This is the first place people's brains go to when they think about marketing or getting traffic to their website. And this can be anything from Facebook ads to Instagram ads to TikTok ads, YouTube video ads, or it can be Google display ads. There's all sorts of ads that are out there. Basically, if you are dishing out money in exchange for people's eyeballs or ears, in some cases, like with podcast ads, then you are participating in the strategy called paid media. No surprise there. The issue is when you are a creative-minded person with no marketing experience trying to get into paid media. In most cases, I would say stay away from this. This is for the type of person who is very analytical, who's very left-brain, who is really nerdy in marketing, is okay with A/B tests and split tests and changing out images and creatives and writing with copywriting and getting different headlines and split testing different calls to action. Like that's all skills you have to have if you're going to make it in paid media. Otherwise, if you don't have all of the skills involved, you are going to crash and burn. But there are still pros and cons with this. This is not all bad. Paid media is not all bad. And I have personally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars profitably with paid media, but this is not for the faint of heart. So the pros, first of all, are it's quick to scale. Meaning you can put dollars in and you could literally get a client the same day. And you could scale it up to a lot of money spent and a lot of clients in a really quick amount of time. There's very few methods that are out there that you could quickly go get 50, 100 customers or clients in a really short amount of time, meaning you can quickly scale if you're good at it. That's the big thing. The second pro is that you get a really fast feedback loop. That feedback loop between putting something out into the world and then getting a massive amount of feedback on whether that resonated with the world or it didn't. With paid media, that's the only way that I know of where you can put a new message out into the world or a new video or a new creative or a new anything. You can put anything out in the world and put a bunch of money behind it and instantly get feedback from thousands of people on whether or not that is something that resonates with your ideal client or not. Those are 2 really, really important things because sometimes it is worth spending money just to get feedback quickly and not worrying about getting an ROI or profit, because long-term you can take those lessons and make a lot of other things work in some of these other 5 areas we're going to talk about today. So it's not all bad. Paid media is not all bad, but that leads to the cons, the bad parts of paid media, which is it can be a huge suck of money, meaning if you're not experienced with this, if you're not analytical and really meticulous on testing, you will lose a lot of money before you'll ever make money. In most cases, I would say people need to spend $5,000 to $10,000 and be willing to lose that in order to gain this education. If you compare it to a college degree, it totally makes sense. Like it is a really, really great degree to have, the skill and degree in paid advertising. If you can make that work, it's worth the $5,000 to $10,000 it takes to learn the skill. But most people are not willing and able to front that sort of money before they start actually making profitable ads. The second con or negative with paid media is that it changes quickly. When iOS 15 rolled out this past year, it changed a lot when it came to specifically Facebook and Instagram ads, but a lot of other platforms struggle with this as well. But out of nowhere, what was working is no longer working. So that means if you are not someone who's willing to put in the time, effort, and energy to relearn what's going to work from that point on, you're basically out of luck. You're no longer going to be able to profitably spend money on ads on a lot of platforms. The third con, and the last one I'm going to talk about here so we can move on to these other 5 areas, is that it is low trust, meaning when someone sees an ad, there's instantly a wall they put up, a shield they put up, because there's no trust there. They know you're paying for that spot on the newsfeed or that spot on YouTube's ad platform or that spot on Google. So there's an immediate mistrust there. And so you have to be able to overcome that. And it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of testing, and it takes a lot of time to figure out the best way to build trust with someone quickly. So it's a really low trust. It's one of the lowest trust of all the ones that I have here today. Method number 2 for getting traffic to your website is something called earned media. What is earned media? It is essentially what I'm doing right now. This is actually earned media. It's time, effort, and energy that I've put in order to earn someone's eyeball. So this is an example of it. A podcast is an example of it. A blog article is an example of it. Pretty much anything, even social media, is an example of earned media. It's where you put blood, sweat, and tears, time, and energy into building the trust on a platform for the right to be shown to somebody. Now, in some areas, this works better than others. Like TikTok is a really viral platform. So if you can crack the code on TikTok, you can get in front of a lot of people in a relatively short amount of time because there's a lot of algorithm goodwill that you can get sometimes. Like for Six Figure Creative, we had a video that's hit like 100,000 views on there, and that shot up like tripled our follower count on TikTok. Now, I'm not personally saying TikTok's the right place to be. I still don't really think TikTok's the right place for Six Figure Creative, but it's something that I'm willing to test out on just to see long-term if it's something that's going to pay off. Now let's talk about the good and the bad when it comes to earned media. First of all, it's pretty much free. Like for me, it's not free with TikTok, especially because I pay someone to take clips from our YouTube videos and from our podcast interviews and put them on TikTok. So I'm not creating content for TikTok specifically. So I'm actually exchanging money on that platform for content to show up. But in most cases, earned media is free or really, really low cost. Like for this YouTube video, I'll pay our editor to edit this video. But other than that, it's the only expense that I really have for this specific earned media channel. The second pro for earned media is that it is much higher trust. The fact that you're watching this video with me right now, you're a few minutes into this video. If you've never experienced anything I've ever done before, I have hopefully given you some amount of value so far and will continue to give you value, especially if you stick around for my last 2 on this list because those are my personal favorites. This is a much higher amount of trust because I earned the right to be here by talking about a subject that you're interested in, and I'm hopefully educating you on the subject and doing a really good job of it. But this also leans to the cons or the negatives of earned media, and that it is time consuming. I'm spending time this week out of my busy week to make this video. I do this every single week. Sometimes I do multiple videos a week just to get ahead of schedule. And because of this, it's time consuming. But not only that, it takes a lot of videos to get any sort of traction. So if you have a blog, it's going to be a lot of articles before you start getting consistent eyeballs to your blog. If you are doing a YouTube video strategy, give it at least 50 videos before you can really start to get traction. If you have a podcast, give it 100 episodes before anyone will be listening to it. It's a long game. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. Not only does it take time up every week for you to do it, it takes a long time horizon for you to actually see returns on all the work that you put in. So unlike paid media, where you can just put some money in and instantly get thousands of people to your website, this takes much more time, but it can still be done, and it's really, really, really effective if you can get it to work. So the second con of earned media, or the second negative of earned media, is that the rules can change anytime, just like paid media. On YouTube, for example, I might rank for certain keywords, and all of a sudden, I'm no longer number 1 because YouTube changed the way something showed up. Same in SEO. Same on social media even. Just an example, back when Facebook first came out, Facebook was really, really great for businesses to get on because you could get tons of eyeballs and website traffic to your blogs. Six Figure Home Studio, the sister to this business, or the cousin to this business, Six Figure Creative, was my first blog. The very first article I ever put out on the internet for the Six Figure Home Studio, I got like 50 to 60,000 people to my website from that one article because it went viral, and it built my email list to like 2,000 people the first week I put that article up. That was old school Facebook. Now you're lucky to get your stuff put in front of 5 to 10% of your total followers. So that's the way things can change. Now, Facebook, Instagram is a pay-to-play world for most people, unless you have a very visually appealing industry like photography or videography. In my world, in audio, it's really hard to make organic social media work, and it's the same on a lot of other platforms as well. So all that time, effort, and energy you take to build up on someone else's platform, they can essentially wipe it out from under you at any point, which is why number 6 on this list is my absolute favorite of all of these methods. So really quick, let's talk about who earned media is for. Earned media is for you if you are patient, first of all. That's the most important part. It's for you if you have a lot to say. If you're someone who's really outgoing and likes to speak a lot, but doesn't want to be on camera, podcast is great for you. If you like to speak a lot and you like to be looked at a lot, YouTube might be a good platform for you. If you like to write, but you don't want to be seen or heard, then a blog can be really good for you. There's a lot of different platforms out there, and it really just depends on what skill set you have and what you like to do. But this is really good if you just have a lot to say and you can find some platform somewhere to say it on. All right, number 3 on this list of ways to get traffic to your website as a freelancer, and this is something called Outbound. This is probably my least favorite. It's the one I have the least amount of experience with, but it is something that is still effective. I've seen someone that we spoke to on our podcast who's earning almost 7 figures a year doing nothing but outbound. But essentially, outbound is this. It is cold outreach through DMs or email or Facebook Messenger or any platform that allows a one-to-one interaction. So sending out to someone who doesn't know who you are, that's the first kind, or cold calling. So if you work with kinds of clients that have their phone numbers listed on the internet somewhere, let's just say you are a videographer who works with small businesses for commercials. Cold calling would be you literally just opening up the phone book and just calling businesses in your area to see if you can work for them. That's essentially outbound. It's you sending stuff out into the world instead of waiting for stuff to come to you. And there are definite pros and cons, especially cons in my opinion, to this approach. First, let's talk about the pros. Number 1, it's very process driven. If you're someone who likes to just follow a set process and do it over and over and over and over again, it can be really, really good for you. And because it's so process driven, meaning you can just follow a step-by-step process, open up a phone book, call a number, say this specific thing, talk to them further, and get a next step or a next call or something set up. Like, it's a very easy process if you can find one that works in your world. And because of that, it can be easy to outsource, which means you don't have to be the one to do this all the time. Eventually, I might start trying to experiment in outbound media, meaning I'm going to start reaching out to people in my niche or start reaching out to people in my world, especially for my podcast company, Good Fortune Media. I might start doing cold outreach with that specific company because it matches that model, but I don't want to be the one doing all of that outbound work. So I would just create a system, pass it off to my virtual assistant, and have them do the first parts of that so that I'm not doing it all. And the third pro for this is that it is dependable. If you can get a system that works, then you know that for every person, for every 100 people or 200 people or 1,000 people you email or DM, you know that you're going to get this response rate, which leads to this result and this many clients. I've seen the people who actually make this their main strategy. I've seen this work time and time and time again for them, and it's a really repeatable outcome for them. And so by taking a system and process they put into place, giving that process to a team to just replicate and do over and over again every day with certain deliverables they have to do, like how many emails or DMs they have to send out per day, then they know at the end of the month, they're going to get X amount of clients. Relatively speaking, they know they're going to get a certain amount of clients. And this can be really, really comforting to know that if you can put this input into the machine, meaning human power and the amount of outgoing emails or DMs, if you put this into the machine, this is the result that comes on the other side of the machine, the dollars that come out. That can be really comforting for someone who needs that sort of baseline revenue in their business. That leads to the 2 obvious cons when it comes to this, or negatives when it comes to this approach, is that, first of all, it's time consuming, which you could obviously gather by how many emails it likely takes. We're talking 100 plus per day. And it is low trust. Similar to ads, if you show up in my inbox or my DM request box on social media, immediately I have no trust with you and my guard is up. So you have the same issue with paid media where you have to lower their guard and figure out how to speak to someone who doesn't know you, like you, or trust you. And that can be very hard for most people to overcome. So that leads to the third part of this. Who is this method for? This is for those of you who have really thick skin, and for those of you who like really clear goals with clear outcomes. All right, so now we're on to method 4 for getting traffic to your website, and that is word of mouth / referrals. I'm just going to lump those into one place. And we all know what this is. This is your past clients or your friends or your family out there basically being little soldiers for you on the battlefield, sending you clients with word of mouth referrals. This is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We all know it. We all love it. We all want it. But let's talk about the pros and the cons of this, because there are definite pros and there are different cons. And I don't think enough people know the cons of that unless you watch my video a few weeks ago where I talked about the word of mouth lie. That video will be in the description of this video if you want to see more about that. But the pros of word of mouth is that it is free advertising. Anytime someone recommends you to someone else and that person comes to you, to your inbox, and they send you an inquiry or a quote request, it's a wonderful thing. Or they book a call or whatever your sales process is. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing because it didn't cost you a dime. And the second pro is that it is incredibly high trust. Like, This is probably the highest method of trust that you can get of all 6 methods here. But the cons of this are that it takes a really, really long time to snowball, which is one of the reasons that I am so against word of mouth as your only means of client acquisition. And you have little to no control. Think about that. You don't control when people are out there sending you clients. You don't really have any control over when Johnny recommends Sally to come hire you. So with that comes a feast or famine cycle. You might have really, really good months where everyone's referring people to you and you don't have to do any sort of marketing, and you may have really, really bad months where you get no clients because no one's out there referring work to you, especially if you're in a really highly seasonal business. I remember back in 2015, January 2015, I brought in $20,000 into my metal mixing and mastering and recording production business. Like I did audio production for metal and hardcore bands, which is a very weird niche to be in. I made 20 grand that month, and it was a really good month because part of it was clients paying for work I'd already done, and part of it was just a lot of referrals that month and clients coming to me in that month. But the following month, February, the same year, I made $2,200. Actually, it might have been less than that. I think it might have been $1,250. I have to look at that. Either way, it was a huge drop in my income because I was only relying on word of mouth clients. So when it comes down to the final piece of this section, which is who is this for? It's for anyone who can get a word of mouth snowball that's big enough to keep their calendar 100% full with their ideal clients. If your calendar is not 100% full with your ideal clients all the time, then you still have to have a piece of one of these other 5 methods in your business. Otherwise, you're going to have the same result that I had. You're going to have a really good month followed by the worst month you've ever had, and you're going to have to be able to deal with that as a freelancer. All right, now we're down to the last 2 methods for getting traffic to your website, and these are 2 of my favorites because these are the 2 that no one really talks about. So number 5 is affiliates. Affiliates are anyone out there who is sending you clients for some sort of commission. So this could be other freelancers who offer complimentary services to you. This could even be your direct competitors, or this can be influencers. Let me talk about all of those. Whatever world you're in, there's likely other freelancers who are catering to the same type of client. I'll give you an example. In my world as a music producer, the band needs other services. They need a music video, so they need a videographer. They need a mastering engineer, which is another one in the audio world. They need merch printed, so there's merch companies out there. They need an entertainment lawyer a lot of times. They need a booking agent. And so a lot of these are just like freelance or other similar services that cater to my exact client. And so the way that you do this is first of all, you need the relationship first. Don't just go to somebody and try to do this, but you have a relationship with somebody who caters to the same client, and you offer a referral, basically a kickback for any clients that they send your way, and you can do the same to them. So you have a 2-way street. Now the commissions I've seen are anywhere from 10 to 20%, usually in the 10 to 15% range, as a means to say thank you for sending me the lead or the client. And this works really well in professional environments where it's not like a friendship. It is like, you're a professional that I respect. I'm a professional that you respect. And so we will send money each other's way for sending clients each other's way. The same goes for influencers. If there's like some big influencer in your world that has control of your ideal client, you can offer them commissions for sending clients your way. This is a very underutilized world for the freelancers, because think about how many Instagram or TikTok influencers have your perfect client that they're not sending anyone to for your service that you can offer a commission to. So they win, the influencer wins because they're able to monetize their following in a way that's better than the typical ads they're getting or their advertised posts they're getting. You get clients for just 10 to 15% of what you're doing. And if you are someone who does higher ticket, higher premium priced things, that can be a lot of money for the influencer and a lot of money for you at the same time. And the same goes for competitors. In your area, you might have someone who is a direct competitor of you, but you're booked up sometimes where you can't take on clients anymore. And sometimes they're booked up and they can't take on clients anymore. Or sometimes you just don't want to work with a specific client for some reason or another, and you can start referring work to each other back and forth for a commission. So that's what I mean by setting up a referral network. And there are pros and cons to this. The pros are, first of all, it's high trust, because if someone just paid me and I'm referring them to my referral partner, my affiliate, in other words, then they trust that I'm going to send them to someone that I respect and know will take good care of them. And that is true as long as you are a good person with good morals and ethics, and you're not just getting someone who's going to pay you just because they're going to pay you. I would like to refer people to someone that I trust who will also give me a kickback, but there's a lot higher amount of trust there than something like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, or something like a cold outreach email. The second pro is that this is incredibly affordable. So even though you're giving up 10 to 15 to up to 20% of your income to your affiliate, or you can call them a referral partner or whatever you want. Even though you're doing that, you're getting paid first. So you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. Like with Facebook ads or Instagram ads or TikTok ads, you're fronting the money, hoping that you make it on the back end. This is the exact opposite. You're getting the money first, and then you're paying out on the commission. So this is guaranteed profit for you. But now let's talk about the cons or the negatives of this. The first negative is that you have little to no control. So you don't really control, similar to word of mouth, you don't control when someone refers work to you. So it can be similar to the feast or famine cycle if you don't have a lot of affiliates that are feeding you constant stream of clients. Which leads me to the second negative of this, is that it is time consuming to get all those clients and people set up, because a relationship takes time to build and develop, and to make sure that it's the right person for you and they're going to take care of your clients, so you don't get people that are angry that you sent them to a bad service. So this takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to set up on the front end, but it pays off on the back end, because once it's set up and you have those relationships out there, it's a relatively easy thing to keep moving along. And in my experience, I've had affiliates that I've made at least six figures, maybe multiple six figures in my life from affiliates through different products, services, and things that I've done in my past. And I've always loved this. I just haven't really put the time and effort and energy into this that it deserves, because it is such a good high ROI activity. And if you think about how much work one affiliate could send to you, if you put a dollar amount on how much one person can send to you, I have one affiliate who in their lifetime has sent me $50,000 worth of clients. One affiliate. So if that one relationship, you think it's worth $50,000 for me to spend the time, effort, and energy building that relationship, sending them my ideas on whether or not this is going to work, talking it out, hashing out the details, like it's worth the effort, as long as you're working with the right types of people. So final thoughts on affiliates. Who is this for? Who is this strategy for? It is for the person who already has a lot of relationships in your world. So if you're someone who's like a good networker, good socialite, whatever you want to call it, and you have a lot of friends and people in the industry and people that especially aren't direct competitors, or you have a lot of influencer friends, basically people that have control over your ideal clients, then that is the perfect person for this sort of strategy. Last on my list, and honestly my favorite method on this entire list, is something called owned media. This is the most underutilized method for all of freelancing. And let me tell you what this is. This is your email list. This is a list of phone numbers you have, or this is just something that you control that no one can take from you. Unlike social media, unlike ads where things change, unlike social algorithms that can change and all of a sudden decide that they're not going to send you traffic, unlike affiliates that you have no control over, unlike Outbound where you have to send all this work, like this is, in my opinion, the best thing, because in most cases, it cannot just disappear overnight. You will always have an email list that you've taken time, effort, and energy to build out, because you can export the CSV. So even if the platform you build it on goes down, you will always have that list for whatever platform is still around, which is the first pro on my pro cons list. No one can take it from you as the first pro. The second pro is that this pairs perfectly with all the other methods on this list. So if you are doing paid media, you should be doing it to build your email list, not to just get clients. You first build an email list that you can nurture and then sell to that list. This works in every industry, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's coaching, whether it's actual freelance services. It doesn't really matter. This method works because they're all humans. If you're selling to a human, you get their email address, you build trust with them. It's a lot easier to sell them on the back end than just trying to go straight from a paid ad to a sell. It doesn't work anymore. Earned media, where you're doing YouTube videos like this, I'm using this. I will pitch you on something that's going to be getting you on my email list. And it's going to be a valuable enough thing where you'll want to sign up for it, because I am adding value to the world. And that's how I build my email list. So I'm using two here. I'm using earned media, YouTube video, and I'm using that to build my owned media, which is my email list. Outbound, if you're emailing people constantly, you're adding them to an email list. So you're just by default building that email list up. Won't be the highest quality, but it is using earned media and outbound media. For referrals, if you are doing word of mouth advertising or whatever it is, people are sending their friends to your website through word of mouth, and you should have on that website something that's worth signing up to an email list on. So you're building through word of mouth your earned media list. So again, that pairs perfectly with that. And then finally through affiliates. If you have affiliates out there doing the same thing where they're sending leads to your website or eyeballs to your website, you should be having something on your website, again, to build your email list. This is called earned media. This is the thing that, again, I cannot overstate how valuable having earned media is, because you can email them anytime. As long as you're building trust, as long as you're adding value, you're always top of mind with your earned media, because you're always showing up in their inbox. Even if they don't open your email, they're still seeing your name in the subject line or in the email itself. So they just are thinking of you. So when it comes time to hire you for the service that you're offering, they're going to think of you because you've been in their inbox for the last 6 to 8 to 12 weeks. Send them very valuable emails that they may or may not be opening, but you're still top of mind. And the best part about earned media, and this is the final pro on my list here, is this, that the nurture portion, the portion where you're taking your earned media and building trust, can be automated. Meaning, if someone joins my email list or someone joins your email list, you can have a predetermined set of emails that goes out that does a lot of really good things for you, from crushing objections to building value to overcoming obstacles that may be getting in the way before they can ever actually hire you for your service. And you can have all of those emails sent out in a very specific way that naturally leads to a sell in 3 to 5 to 10 emails. You cannot do this in other mediums because you have to do that stuff manually. Email is the only one that I've seen that you can automatically do that, but it's not without its cons. Earned media has a few cons. The first one is it can be really expensive if you have a big email list. I will go ahead and shamelessly plug easyfunnels.io. That's my website builder, which has got full email marketing built in, split tests, funnels, landing pages, all that nerdy marketing crap. But I think for 10,000 email leads, we charge something like $79 a month, which sounds like a lot. But when you compare it to ActiveCampaign or MailChimp, which are two of the leaders out there, their cheapest plan for 10,000 email lists is like $104 a month. But if your email list is substantially smaller than that, it still can be relatively expensive, but it's worth it as long as you have a good high quality list that you're constantly cleaning, meaning you're unsubscribing people that are just a bad fit or not opening emails. You can keep a relatively small amount of emails. And the studies I've heard, and I've experienced this myself, and it depends on how healthy your business is you should be earning at least $1 a month per email address that you have. So if you have a few thousand email leads, you should be bringing in around $3,000 a month from that email list. So when you look at an email list of 10,000 people, even if you're paying MailChimp or ActiveCampaign $104 a month to host that, or EasyFunnels paying us $79 a month to host that list, you're still getting an immense amount of value from that list. So don't worry about the price on it. Worry about building the list of that. I want to pay as much as I can for my list because I want it to be as big as possible, within reason, as long as people are opening the emails. So in my world, I've probably brought in over 80, maybe closer to 100,000 emails throughout my life in my different businesses at this point. And again, this is the sole driver of all my businesses, is having owned media at the core of everything. So when I talk about who is owned media for, who should employ this strategy, it's pretty much everyone. You should be using owned media in tandem with whatever other method that you want to use. I just recommend using one major thing at a time and one minor thing at a time. Meaning, if you're going through earned media, you have your social media, and you're spending a lot of time, effort, and energy building that, have some amount of time you've put into owned media, meaning you're building an email list passively on the background through like some sort of lead magnet on your website or anything. I actually have a full video on this YouTube channel about how to actually build your email list as a freelancer. If you want that, that'll be in the description here. But my final thoughts on this, just to kind of go over this whole list again, you've got paid media, earned media, outbound media, referrals / word of mouth, affiliates, and owned media. Those are the 6 ways to get traffic to your website. My thoughts again are, don't overcomplicate this. Focus on 1 to maybe like 1.5 at a time, and find one that you're going to actually invest time, effort, and energy in and go deep with it. Don't just dabble in all of these, because if you start dabbling in everything, you're going to fail at every single one of them. Now, if you want my thoughts on this to go further, I have something that I've put out a few weeks ago. And it's something called the 5x1 marketing method. This goes over my thoughts on the 5 different things that you should be implementing in your marketing plan. One of them is this what I call top of funnel strategy. You should find one method in the top of funnel strategy, but there's actually 4 other ones that you need to have for a full working marketing plan for your freelance business. If you want that, you can just go to sixfigurecreative.com/marketing. It's like a 12-minute video. It goes over the whole details of that plan. And it should be very helpful for you at this point, because now you have this very top of funnel, one of these 6 methods for you to get website traffic, but then you need the other 4 to keep getting people to go further and further down your funnel and eventually hire you. So if you want that, again, just go to sixfigurecreative.com/marketing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back next week. Until next time, remember, it takes more than passion if you want to make it as a 6-figure creative.